The retirement industry is lying to you about Social Security, and it is costing retirees 8 years of their life, or more. Now, here's the thing that nobody's telling you. Nearly 1 in 3 Americans, that's 29 to 31% of eligible retirees, are claiming at 62. Are they all making a terrible mistake, leaving $100,000 plus of guaranteed benefits on the table? Or do they understand something about money, life, and retirement that the experts conveniently leave out? Because here's what really matters. By the time you're 70 years old and finally claiming that maximum benefit, the 62-year-old has potentially already collected over $134,000 in Social Security payments. They've traveled, they've spent time with grandkids, they've lived. Today, I'm going to give you 7 reasons why claiming at age 62 might be the smartest financial decision you ever make. And if you watch until the end, I'll share why this is the case, even though the National Bureau of Economic Research indicates that most retirees are waiting until age 70 who are waiting until age 70 end up collecting more by the end. And we're going to talk about tax optimization strategies, portfolio conservation tactics, longevity insurance that most people frankly ignore, and why some of my multi-million-dollar clients choose to claim early, even though they don't need to. They're multimillionaires after all, right? And this isn't about settling for less. This is about getting more out of life while you can still enjoy it. So with that intro, let's jump into this latest edition of the Financial Prof series. Alright, so first let's deal with the elephant in the room. If you claim at age 62 instead of your full retirement age of 67, you're looking at a 30% reduction in your monthly benefit. That's significant. If you wait until 70, you get 124% of your full retirement benefit, 77% more than at 62. For example, if you're on track to receive $1,400 by 62, that becomes $2,480 by age 70. And by comparison, the amounts just don't even come close. They're completely different. And the math seems clear, right? But just wait. Here's what they don't always tell you. That calculation assumes that you live long enough to make it worth the wait. It assumes that you can afford to wait, and critically, it assumes that getting the most total lifetime dollars is your only goal. Life does not work that way, and your retirement doesn't work that way. And frankly, your money should work for you, not the other way around. So let me walk you through 7 legitimate, well-researched reasons why claiming at age 62 might in fact be the right call for you. I'm going to back this up with some real data and authoritative sources along the way, because this isn't just opinion, it's sound financial planning for the right situations, right? And let's be honest, not everyone has the luxury of waiting, which is why reason number 1 is you need the money now. According to recent surveys, 39% of Americans cite immediate financial need as their reason for claiming early. During the 2008-2009 recession, nearly 36% of eligible men and 39% of eligible women started claiming at age 62, simply to pay the bills. Now, the rising costs that we've seen for housing, healthcare, and groceries are outpacing even the 2025 cost of living adjustment, which is only a 2.5%, or around $50 for the average benefit. Nearly half of current retirees say that expenses are higher than expected. So if you're 62 and you've lost your job or maybe had to take an early retirement that you weren't necessarily planning on, and you can't find work or maybe you don't want to go back to work, waiting 5 years for a bigger check doesn't help you keep the lights on today. And there's no shame in this. Claiming Social Security early beats going into debt or draining your emergency savings. Yes, your monthly check will be smaller, but financial security today can be worth far more than a theoretical larger check you might never live to fully benefit from. Right, so reason number 2 is if your health isn't great. This is a big one, and it's deeply personal. According to life expectancy data from the Social Security Administration, the average 62-year-old man can expect to live to age 83, while a woman can expect to live to age 86, or about another 24 years. But here's the key word: average. If you have chronic health issues, heart disease, cancer, what have you, your expectancy might be considerably shorter. Poor health can make an early claim appropriate, especially for single individuals who don't necessarily need to worry about survivor benefits for a spouse. So, if you have good reason to believe that you won't make it to your early 80s, claiming at 62 actually ensures that you get to enjoy the money you worked your whole entire life to earn. So let's talk about reason number three. You have a physically demanding job. Now, this was my own father. He was a law enforcement officer for many, many years. And this is many people out there who often are the unsung heroes of our everyday lives. Here's some data that might surprise you. According to a recent OECD Employment Outlook study, 50.3% of workers age 50 and up work in physically demanding jobs, and 54.2% are exposed to environmental hazards. So if you've spent 30, 40 years on your feet, working construction, manufacturing, healthcare, law enforcement, your body's probably telling you something. A 2023 Economic Policy Institute said that, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to tell you a quick story, better than another stat, right? I know a doctor, an orthodontist, who is in his 40s, and he's looking at retiring in his 60s. He wants to be done by age 60 because his back, after years of leaning over people's mouths, is more or less shot. And he knows that if he keeps pushing it to age 70 while he could and while his relatives have in the same field, it could completely destroy his ability to enjoy whatever retirement you have. This is a personal anecdote, not a study, but it's important to know that these are real people and real lives out there who are claiming early. All right, reason number four, you want to reduce your rate of your sequence of returns risk. So here's a strategy that sophisticated retirees and their advisors use, claiming Social Security at 62 to reduce portfolio withdrawals during the early years of retirement. Sequence of returns risk is the danger that a market downturn happens during those first few years of retirement, forcing you to sell investments at a loss, permanently reducing your portfolio's ability to recover. By taking Social Security at 62, even at a reduced amount, you can withdraw less from your portfolio during vulnerable early retirement years, let your investments potentially recover from market downturns, preserve your portfolio's longevity, and according to research, this strategy can be particularly valuable for business owners and retirees with substantial investment portfolios who want to optimize their withdrawal strategy. All right, so let's talk about reason number five, maximizing spousal benefits. Here's a benefit coordination strategy. When you file for Social Security at age 62, your spouse becomes eligible to claim spousal benefits, potentially up to 50% of your benefit. If your spouse had a lower earnings history or took time out of the workforce to raise children, this can provide additional household income earlier. It's not always about maximizing one person's benefit, sometimes it's about optimizing household cash flow. All right, so let's jump into reason number six now. You have sufficient retirement savings. Interestingly, claiming at age 62 can make perfect sense when you don't need the money. According to the Motley Fool's recent analysis, if you've already saved enough to cover your expenses without relying heavily on Social Security, the reduction in benefits actually matters substantially less. So let me explain what I mean by that. If you're a successful business owner or a high earning individual who's done a great job of saving and investing, looking at a seven, maybe even an $8 million, or sorry, 8-digit portfolio, millions of dollars, right? You might choose to claim at age 62 simply because, let's say, you want to travel more while you're younger and healthier, or you'd rather enjoy the money now than maximizing every single dollar, right? Well, you've earned it. You've paid into that system, oftentimes at top brackets, for the majority of your lifetime, and quality of life truly matters. There is a significant amount of my clients who, despite having millions of dollars, are very, very interested in what Social Security is able to give them because they want to make sure that that which they've contributed eventually comes back to them one day, right? All right, so let's talk about reason number seven, tax planning and income optimization. So this is where it gets sophisticated. Your Social Security benefits are taxed based on your provisional income. That's a key term there. That's your adjusted gross income plus half of your Social Security benefit plus any non-taxable interest, right? So if you expect your provisional income to be significantly higher later in retirement, maybe from required minimum distributions, pension income, or business income, etc., claiming early might actually reduce your overall lifetime tax burden on Social Security benefits. Additionally, if you're in a higher tax bracket now and you expect to be in a lower one potentially later, claiming at 62 and potentially paying taxes on those benefits at a lower rate can be part of a tax optimization strategy. With this, it's not about it is about minimizing the lifetime tax bill, not just necessarily one year's taxes. And this also highlights why it's so important to work with a financial advisor. those different aspects, your tax bracket, what your spending goals are, your Social Security claiming strategy, your RMDs, required minimum distributions, and how that plays out over time, they all weave together in one seamless garment that creates your financial situation. Now, I want to be clear about something. Yes, research from institutions like the National Bureau of Economic Research show that over 90% of individuals would receive greater lifetime benefits by waiting till age 70. I'm not going to hide from that data. But here's what the research doesn't account for. Quality of life in your 60s versus your 80s, far more often than not, is going to be higher. Or the actual probability that you specifically and you personally will live to 90. Or the risk that Social Security benefits could possibly be reduced in the future. There have been multiple times where they've raised the minimum age. Or the value of having income security now when you need it. According to the Bipartisan Policy Center's 2024 research, while claiming behavior has shifted towards later ages over the past 2 decades, nearly 3 in 10 retirees still claim at 62, and many of them are making informed, rational decisions based on their unique circumstances. So let's talk about making your specific decision, right? Because this is personal to you, not to some swath of people who were surveyed or some fancy statistic on an internet article. This is about you. How do you decide? Well, allow me to share a little bit of my process that I have used when I've worked with clients on this specific claiming decision. Step 1, run your numbers. Use the Social Security Administration's online calculators to see your projected benefits at 62, at 67, at age 70. Know what you're working with. Then step 2, calculate your break-even point. For most people, the break-even point between claiming at 62 versus 67 is around age 78 to 79. Between 62 and 70, it's around age 80 to 82. And even then, there's a critical factor that most calculators miss, which is the time value of money. We've just experienced some of the highest inflation in years and decades, which means that someone claiming earlier could potentially have better buying power on that same dollar than someone claiming later. And yes, Social Security does enjoy cost of living adjustments, but those cost of living adjustments are based on a consumer price index that might not reflect your needs, your spending needs, what you absolutely must have to survive, but also to thrive. And those things, for instance, living in an RV, might have a significantly higher spending requirement now than they did 5 years ago. And then the next step is to figure out what you actually need. How much do you have in retirement savings? Do you have a pension or other guaranteed income? What are your monthly expenses? Do you have significant healthcare costs, or do you expect to based on maybe family history? And what about your spouse's situation? These are all questions you're going to want to sit down and sketch out. Then step 4 is to think about your life goals. This might sound soft, but it matters. Do you have bucket list items that are easier to do in your 60s than your 80s? Travel becomes harder as you age. Knees and backs aren't what they used to be. I've seen too many people delay retirement, delay claiming benefits, and then face health issues in their 70s that prevent them from doing the things that they saved for. Money is a tool. It should enable the life you want and not become the goal in and of itself. So look, here's the bottom line. At the end of the day, claiming Social Security at 62 isn't automatically a mistake. For many retirees and business owners even, it's actually the smart, strategic choice when you consider a host of factors. For instance, your financial needs, both current and future, your health and family history, your overall retirement portfolio, your life goals and your priorities that work into those, your tax situation, your future plan for healthcare. The key to all of these is, again, making an informed decision, not just following conventional wisdom or an article or two you read online. So if you are a pre-retiree or a business owner or an entrepreneur approaching retirement, someone who's agonizing over this question, laying awake at night, this is exactly the kind of a decision that we can help clients with at Norberg Wealth Management. And for viewers of this video, I'm making a special offer that if you click the link in the description below, I will go ahead and record a video personalized to you using your numbers and your data as a quick 5-minute retirement plan, walking through some key suggestions and insights and allowing you greater clarity into what the decision matrix might look like for your situation. Because there's no one right answer for you, for anyone, that covers the blanket of all Americans. It's only you, your goals, and your ultimate prevailing financial situation that's going to dictate when and how you claim for Social Security. So I appreciate you taking the time to stick around until the end. Again, click the link below if you'd like to receive a personalized 5-minute retirement plan video. And until next time, I'm John Norberg, and I'll see you out there.